I am ready to join everybody from 3 years ago with this totally tubular 79 Bronco. So I'm only slightly behind the times with picking up a TRX-4 79 Bronco. This is the fully kitted, whatever you want to call it. It has the lockers, it has the 2-speed. I wanted a fresh start on a 2-speed rig so that I could install this 3500 kV Polar Pro and CopperHead 10 combo into it. Why a fresh start? Because I've, maybe taken apart and ruined most of my other ones that I have. I didn't want to put that in a 6x6 because that's just honestly a little too much for it. And I always wanted one of these 79 Broncos, and I probably am gonna screw up the body doing this because 3500 kV likes to launch a lot. So let's just kind of check it out. One of my local buddies has one of these guys. It's always looked great. It always has looked very capable for how big of a scale body it is. So I want to see how it looks in person. I mean, I've seen it in person, but I never looked at it that close because it's not my rig, and it's a TRX-4, so it's probably gonna be just like another TRX-4, right? All right, they sealed it up with tape on me at the store. So let's just talk about this a little bit. Extreme capability, improved geometry, waterproof, and let's see, torque twist eliminated, and also scale detail. So we got our, our switchy buttony thingy right here. Yep, that's what it does. And then we have an upside down TRX-4. Oh, look at there. Hey, it comes with a T-wrench. Added bonus points for Traxxas. Then, oh yeah, here we go. And there's probably nothing else in there that I need. This thing looks like it has been sitting on the shelf for a little bit. Looks like they took off our body protecting. We're missing a body clip. This was on display at the local hobby shop, so I got a little bit of a deal on it. Everybody's been all touching it and putting their hands on it, and we'll just go ahead and peel this protective layer off. I want to get the full experience of a new rig before I sully it with a big brushless system. Yeah. Oh, look at that. That's so nice. All right, so this has the tall body mounts just like the other one. Oh, that looks good. A little dusty. But that looks good. And that's got really good approach and departure as well. Yeah, the departure's maybe not the best. But as compared to the Defenders that I have, it doesn't have those big old bulky bumpers on the front. Yeah, that's a good looking rig. If I was gonna get any Bronco, this would be the body style that I wanted. Maybe a late 60s version. But the 79 is pretty good looking. How about y'all in the comment world? What is your favorite Bronco? Or for that matter, what's your favorite just old body style? I really like the classic Chevys, the mid to late 60s Chevy bodies. Definitely a favorite. My brother had a 66 step-side short bed Chevy that he threw an LS engine into. And boy, was that thing fun to drive in, the old death trap. So I'm just gonna start out by yanking out the electronics. What better thing to do first than to immediately take out the electronics. Hey, they're brand new. Maybe I could even sell them or something. Selling. Who sells their kit electronics? Who sells anything in the RC realm for that matter? I don't know anybody that actually sells stuff. Everybody just hoards and hoards and hoards. Or maybe it's just me and my friends. We're bad about hoarding. So what I know I will need to do if I want to have a clean install is I need to turn the radio box around so that the wires will fit. But that's also a lot of work. So I may just pass the wires underneath the battery tray. We'll see. But you do have to take up the battery tray to get the RX wire out from underneath it. I'm not a big fan of how they routed this stuff. Oh, and they got them all zip tied together even. And yeah, we'll just have to little nippy nip of that zip tie. Hopefully I don't cut the wires or put my eye out. Just about put my camera guy's eye out with that. There we go. Now then. Oh yeah, this is bringing back memories of lots of wires. Lots and lots of wires. I know it was a lot easier to do this on the sport version where they didn't have the shift servo in the way, but I wanted to have a 2-speed. And thank you, Traxxas, for changing my mind about 2-speeds in rigs. I had never liked them before. If you are a frequent viewer of the channel, you have heard me talk about at almost ad nauseum how with a high kV brushless, as evidenced in the sport video, with something like a 3500 kV, you really don't need 2 speeds. There is plenty of wide range available with a single speed setup with a properly tuned system. Properly tuned motor for good low speed control and a properly tuned ESC for good low speed control as well. Traxxas and their 2 speeds. So I never liked 2 speeds before, and I think the reason was, well, primarily a lot of 2-speed transmissions were extremely weak, and when you throw a little bit of power at them, they just break. We have essentially proven that that is not the case with the TRX-4. We all know how stout they are. But what they did was they made the transmission have a much wider ratio than before. Previous attempts from other companies had, you know, maybe 100% and 150% of the speed between the 2 gears. And this one has a much wider ratio. And I could check, I want to say that the ratio difference is more than 2 to 1 between first and second gear. It's maybe like 2.25. Let me know in the comments if you remember offhand what the ratio difference is, but it is enough to where we can have something as hot as a 3500 kV system in first gear. Gobs and gobs of low speed control. Just amazing low speed control, and still enough speed to honestly just crawl around in first gear all the time. And then you can put it in second gear and have obnoxious wheel speed, standing back flips, you know, rolling wheelies, just more than you need, which can be quite fun sometimes. I'm usually just a crawler, but if I have a crawling rig that crawls extremely well and I still can go fast with it, then in my opinion, that's a pretty fun rig. All right, we got all sorts of wires to deal with here. So I got to figure out ESC. I think it's the third one up on here. Channel 1, 2, 1 and 2. There we go. That should be it. Oh, so many wires, so many wires. It's the only thing I don't like about these TRX-4s is the amount of wires. But when you have dual locking differentials and a 2-speed and a steering servo and an ESC, it kind of adds up. Right. So what was I talking about again? It seemed like there was a point I was trying to make. Maybe about the old 2-speeds being a lot of fun. So despite being 3 years late to the party on this particular model, I'm gonna party like it's 1999. Which honestly, I didn't really go to many good parties in '99. A lot of good clubs, but you know, the party scene when you're 17 years old, you know, the college kids don't like you really crashing their parties. I found out. There we go, and it's probably going to be impossible to pull this through. Quite impossible. We're gonna try. You know, normally I just clip the wire. But I will try to avoid it just the once today. Let's see if I can just yank it through. Oh, it's trying to come. It's, ooh, look at there. I think I may have gotten it without completely trashing everything. Look at there. Almost. Ha ha! Success. And of course, I'm not going to wire my wires nearly as neat as the stock setup is. I mean, I could tell you that I will, but that'd be a lie. That would be a lie. All right, now for our motor, and we will be on our way. All right. So on the 2-speed version, it comes stock with an 11-tooth pinion and I believe a 45-tooth spur. Indeed. So we should have a really good low ratio. And we could go, a little smaller. Not many teeth smaller on this guy, down to a 9-tooth if we wanted to. And then we shall need this, and be sure that we go into the C position for gear mesh when we replace that pinion. Now, I must say, at first I did not like this method of gear mesh, to where you have to put it into a certain hole and hope that it's right. But it's kind of grown on me, honestly. It's you don't have to worry about the gear mesh nearly as much, assuming that everything is right and round. So we want to make sure that the pinion has full contact with the spur, and we want to make sure that the grub screw is not hitting the spur gear. That is the biggest thing that we need to worry about. And it looks like we are going to be just fine on that. I am going to move this down just a smidge until the pinion is flush with the end of the shaft though. And that is how I try to engineer all the motors. Now all vehicles are slightly different, but I can tell you on the TRX-4 that with our brushless motors that is how the pinion should mount. There we go. Look at there, look at there, that's nice. And while this isn't the easiest setup to swap a motor out on, what would you consider the easiest rig to swap a motor out on? I would consider it the Element Enduro or the SCX 10-2. Fairly wide open platforms. They share a lot of similarities with our early rock crawling platforms like the AX10, the SCX10. Very easy to get to the transmission, very easy to change things out. And so for typically doing stuff like this, especially if I'm just testing electronics, I will choose those platforms to test on just because it's very quick and easy to switch out. However, for a 2-speed, there's really not a lot of options out there for 2-speed, and I know that I can throw something ridiculous like this 3500 kV Puller Pro into it, and it's not going to immediately break. I might break a portal gear doing this, to tell you the truth, but I'm at least going to get a little bit of time out of it before that happens. Hopefully, as long as I don't make some sort of bonehead move. All right, and I am just going to route this around this ways. There we go, that'll be good. Plug her in. Negative is always towards the outside of your radio. At least that's the industry standard, and I don't know of anybody that has departed from that. There we are. Now, before I go any further, it is time to put some batteries in the radio, plug in the ESC, and make sure everything works. All right, let's see if it still binds. Back here, ooh, and I can run this ESC on 4S if I wanted to. Maybe we should do that. I've got a 4S won't fit in here, at least not the ones I have. Okay, 3, 2, 1. We'll need to reverse our throttle channel for this ESC to arm.
Blinking once, right? Then you want to push set again, and it should be blinking green multiple times. And now we want to turn them both off and both back on. And now forward.
Bam. Thanks, YouTube.
I'm going to show that part where you learned from that little kid.
That sounds good. Thanks, YouTube. Reversing the throttle channel on the TQI is much more involved than the TQ, which was a very easy process. But now, I'll let y'all see. We plug her in, 1, 2, 3. Yellow light or orange light indicating neutral throttle. I could have adjusted the throttle trim on this guy, but the rig was going backwards, and the way I have this ESC programmed, we can actually have it going backwards or forwards and it'll act exactly the same. So the easiest thing for me, so that it would arm, was just to reverse the throttle channel, and now we should have normal throttle going forwards, reverse throttle going backwards. Our light is reversed, as you can probably tell from the overhead. We have red light going forwards, we have green light going backwards, but oh well. Let's see here. Our startup, nice and slow. I don't even know what gear this is. I guess we'll find out with a wheel speed test. Probably first gear, I would say. And we're just gonna, oh, that was unlocking the diffs. I'll unlock those back. Now we're gonna go into second gear. There we go. Let's see how our low speed control is with second gear. A little bit faster, of course, a little bit faster. And let's see our wheel speed. And I think this little bitty pack needs to be charged because it just kind of revved down on me. Yeah, that's a saggy pack, but that's a lot of wheel speed there. That's a lot more wheel speed than the single speed had. So it is storming outside. I would love to go outside and bash this guy around, but we're gonna have to call it there for today, and we will film another day for having fun with this. You know, and I think this setup's probably gonna pull wheelies. It pulled wheelies on the single speed setup when I was outside, out front, when we had traction on the street. And I bet you in second gear, this thing is going to be unruly. So I do appreciate you tuning in. If you have any questions about the setup, leave them down below. Do my best to get to them. If you have any questions about programming the CopperHead 10 ESC for rock crawling, my programming guide on that is on YouTube, and you can view that. As always, thanks for tuning in. Have a good day.